guys, DemiGod here with some Resident Evil 6 remastered gameplay on Xbox One. This is my first time playing this game, so I hope you guys enjoyed the footage that I recorded for you guys as you listen to my thoughts about E3 2016 and what I liked and disliked about the conferences. And I'm going to get in depth with each conference about what I liked and disliked and give them an overall review score. So let's get started on my thoughts about E3 2016, and I'm doing all the conferences between EA, Bethesda, Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. So let's get started on my thoughts about E3 2016. And the first, I'm starting with Day Zero between EA and Bethesda. So let's get started.
I've sent over the field.
EA and Bethesda both had pressures on Day Zero. EA actually had a very good conference themselves. They really had some nice pacing. They had some things to show. I enjoyed what EA was bringing to the table. Now, I'm gonna get what I dislike out the way first, because I felt like this is something, a trend that's been happening in EA for the past two E3s. It's come. the behind the scenes work for games that aren't like ready in development yet, and they just show off what they have already. If you haven't noticed, last year they did this with Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and now they're doing this with Mass Effect Andromeda and the current Star Wars games that's worked on. Now, I don't mind people being happy and talking about the games they're excited to work on. Yeah, sure, that's cool, but you can save that for development diaries and everything else and not really bring that to the main stage at E3. I felt like EA really kind of shorthanded us or dropped the ball, at least with these particular titles, especially Mass Effect, because I was ready to see what they had to action. And then you have the particular Star Wars title that Amy Hennig is working on, and they really didn't show much of those titles. So I felt like EA dropped the ball in that particular range. Now, on to something that I will say that I like. Titanfall 2 looks amazing. Looks even better than the first. You have more Titans in your hand. You have Titans at the goal. It feels like they gave a bond in the story mode with your Titan. And I'm just liking what I'm seeing, what they're capable of at Respawn Entertainment, so I had to give them credit for that. Titanfall 2 does look like a must-buy day one. I'm not too sure about it yet, but it does look like a day one buy. Another thing I will say I liked about EA's conference is the FIFA story mode that they're giving. I will say that that is a bonus that I really didn't see coming, that EA is actually adding on themselves, and I'm actually well surprised, and I think I might actually look into it, because that story mode does look good. It looks like they're taking you through the journey, literally, the pun, no pun intended, the journey of what it's like to be a soccer star, what you have to watch out for, work on, things of that nature. And so I'm curiously interested in what that could like particularly be, so I may just in fact look into buying that, purchasing it, picking it up on that day. Another thing I will say I liked about EA's conference is that one colorful game, Feed. I feel like that has a choice, or not a choice, a chance of being really good, because it's really creative and stands out the box. You play as this small little creature and you're learning the language of the forest and animals and things like that. Yet you have people trying to invade the forest, do things to it, mess it up and things like that. I'm a sucker for small, colorful games like that, and I feel like that genuinely has my interest. Another thing I particularly dislike about EA's conference is that the FIFA stuff was great, was grand, amazing, nice, whatever you want to put, but the pro soccer stuff, the pro soccer coach stuff really took a while and took too long, and they had some things they could have like did on the after show and stuff like that. It was cool for those interested in soccer, but for the most part, that's after show worthy stuff. So all in all, EA had a great conference. I'm not gonna say great. They had a good conference, great pacing, things of that nature. I'm gonna give EA's conference a 3.5 out of 5. Now, on to Bethesda. Now, Bethesda, we already know what they're capable of, what they did last year, announcing Fallout 4, Doom, all those other particular titles, and showing us what they're capable of. I feel like with this pressure or conference, or however you want to put it, they kind of dropped the ball compared to their last year conference. Now, I will say, opening up with Quake was a stellar move. I was excited for that, but A downside to that is that they made it PC only. Now, I mean, it's cool for PC players, you guys can rejoice, but I feel like that should have came to consoles as well. Then they showed off some Fallout 4 stuff, which was cool. They showed off some additional DLC, some more mods, some more workshop stuff, and the fact that Fallout Shelter is now moving ahead to PC. So that's a cool thing. I feel like that was a pro bonus. But the grand slam of their conference in particular was the Skyrim remaster announced for Xbox One, PS4, and if you have it on PC already, you can upgrade for free on PC, which is actually pretty cool. I will give them credit for that. That actually stood out the box. I heard rumors of it happening, but I didn't know if it was true or not, so that actually caught my attention. That caught my surprise. And then the new thing that the new game that they showed, Prey, or the reboot that they showed of Prey, actually looked really good. Cinematically, they showed us some great looking stuff. Now, I want to see gameplay. I want to see how it looks in action before I particularly get excited for that. But that game does look good. I like the idea of it. I like what it's capable of. So I am very excited for that. They showed off a lot of Dishonored 2, which I will say, not particularly a con, but they did show off a lot. They showed off a tech demo and things like that, which they really could have just saved and just actually just had like the regular demo they're going to show for Corvo and Emily as their demos instead of the tech demo, then the Emily demo, then this and this. But I feel like it was a fair chance, and they actually piqued my interest for Dishonored 2. I've had Dishonored Definitive Edition for quite some time, and now I can actually legitimately say, yeah, I want to play it, I want to try it out, I want to see how it is now. So I'm actually going to get my hands on that, and I will say that Dishonored 2 really has my eye now. And they showed off some Doom DLC. All DLC will be free for Doom, some snap map stuff, the multiplayer map packs, which actually look cool, and a new demon. I'll say that looks cool as well. So, and they showed off some Elder Scrolls Online stuff for those people that actually enjoy Elder Scrolls Online, Dark Brotherhood expansion, stuff like that. Not really my cup of tea particularly, but I know there's fans of the Elder Scrolls Online, so I'm not them for it. But Bethesda's conference, it was cool, but it wasn't as stellar and action-packed as last year's conference. It didn't like have us by surprise and on the edge of our seats like last time. So I'll be giving EA's conference a 3 out of 5. Now we're on to Microsoft. I wasn't expecting some of the things they're going to show. I was expecting some of the things they did show, but I will say that they did have a good conference. They had some great pacing. It kind of dwindled in only 2 segments, but overall they did have some great pacing, and they did show some games. They showed off Gears of War 4, the story footage, a story mission, and confirming that Marcus Phoenix is still alive. So that actually looks dope. I will give them that. They started out the show with the Xbox One Slim, which is cool. I'm not gonna knock them at $299. That's a good price for those interested in the Xbox One. And then they moved on and started showing Battlefield 1. They could have saved this or showed off a different aspect of the game they're going to do at the Microsoft showing. They showed off Forza Horizon 3, which looks absolutely beautiful and is crossplay compatible, so it's Gears of War 4 on Xbox and Windows 10. I will say Forza Horizon definitely has my eye because that game looks wonderful. Then they showed off the briefest portion of Record. They showed off a quick trailer for Record, which I felt perhaps Record needed more screen time. They could have got really in-depth with Record. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that aspect, but it did particularly look great for what I did see. Then they showed off a demo for Final Fantasy on the Microsoft stage, which it could have been a better demo. That particular didn't really was wowing anything, but it still looked great in action, so I won't knock them for that. Then they showed off Killer Instinct, confirming that General Ram will be a guest character in Killer Instinct. That's right, Gears of War's General Ram in Killer Instinct as a guest character, along with the Arbiter and Rash and things like that. He looks great in action. I will post up some gameplay of him on the channel. I will say that wasn't as surprising because that leaked on early, but that still was awesome enough to see make it in Killer Instinct. Now, Another thing they showed, another game they showed was Inside. And they've been showing this for past E3 conferences, but every time they show it, we get just a little bit more and a little bit more. But I'm ready to see the greater aspect of what's to come from Inside. And then another game they showed was We Happy Few, and that game really gave me some BioShock vibes, and it really looked mysterious and vague and cryptic, and you want to know what's going on and everything else. That really has my eye, and I will say that was one of the particular games in Microsoft's conference that really drove me out to go, whoa, alright, that looks great. Now, another thing that they showed was Gwent, the Witcher card game, and I will say that was one of the cons of the conference for me in particular. They spent a lot of time on this, and that could have been completely wiped out of the portion, or they could have had a brief trailer going off that and a release date for this, and not really have to go too particularly in depth about Gwent. For those who enjoyed The Witcher 3 and like Gwent, this is all for you guys. Or those who enjoy Hearthstone on PC and want a different card game aspect, this is all you. But for me in particular, I really didn't want to hear this or particularly have that much time spent on stage about Gwent. That was one of the cons for me. Another con for me in particular was the Minecraft segment. They spent a lot of time showing off the Minecraft realms and VR and all this and stuff. They could have saved all of that in one particular trailer and not have to really go so deep with it as they did. It was cool for what it was, but still, that could have been completely taken out of the conference itself and just saved for a trailer or something. Then they showed off Tekken 7, a match between Akuma and Heihachi. Looks great in action still, I will give them credit. And they announced Tekken Tag Tournament 2 free for the week for Xbox users. That was cool. Now, another game that I actually am excited about as a fan of the series, they showed off Dead Rising 4, and we are back playing with Frank West 16 years after the events of Dead Rising 1. So that actually has my eye in particular. It's around the holiday times. I'm not too sure what's going on in Dead Rising 4, but I will say that, hey, this has my eye.
Heard it on the radio.
And then they showed off some Scalebound, the 4-player co-op demo. Looks good. I will say that the boss fight wasn't like super interesting or anything, but it did particularly pique my interest and had me like, wow, okay, this looks dope in action. I will give them credit upon that. Then they showed off a game. It kind of looks fun. Like you just kick back, relax, have some fun times with friends or your crew, whoever you're playing with. Sea of Thieves actually looks fun. And it's like one of those games that you have to take super seriously, but it looks fun. And then they showed off State of Decay 2, and later on confirming throughout the day that it will have 4-player co-op. Which State of Decay, I'm a big fan. That was actually my first review on this channel. I will say that I'll be definitely giving that some interest and checking that out upon whenever day it releases. And then they showed Halo Wars 2, which actually is a con and a pro at the same time. We have an open beta this week, and I will be dropping a video upon that. But they also is confirmed that it's delayed for next year, and I'm kind of hurt about that. And another con that I have for the Microsoft conference that we didn't see any Crackdown 3 footage, and we didn't get a Cuphead release date confirmed at all yet. But overall, Microsoft had a great conference, had some great games. So only 2 times that the conference actually dwindled and put me like in a stupor, and that was the Gwent and the Minecraft segment. But overall, Microsoft will be getting a 3.5 out of 5 for their conference. They'll be getting a 3.5 out of 5. Now, on to Ubisoft. Ubisoft showed off some things. They started out the segment with Just Dance, their bread and butter, confirming it for the NX and Xbox One and PC. Then they showed off Ghost Recon Wildlands, which looks good, but it's still, you can still tell that it's in alpha. Then they showed off South Park, which actually stole the show for me at the Ubisoft conference. Really made it, and it looks wonderful, following in the same vein as the Stick of Truth, and it is a day one pickup for me. Then they showed off the Division DLC coming out. I'm not too particularly fond of it. I may look into it. I still need to play and review that game for you guys, but it does look cool. Then they showed off Eagle Flight, a VR game where you play as the eagles trying to capture things. Looks cool. I had to see more of it to really get my interest peaked. Then they showed off a Star Trek VR game that looks fantastic. And I will say that the inner nerd in me was really screaming at that game and really really was interested in what they had to show. Then they showed off For Honor, and that game looks amazing between the 3 combat portions that you get between the barbarian, samurai, and the knight. I will say that that game in particular has my interest. Then they showed off and announced the same day release Trials of the Blood Dragon. It's Trials and the creators of the Blood Dragon DLC for Far Cry meshing together as one particular fusion DLC play, and I will say that that looks great. Then they announced Grow Up for PS4 and Xbox One. And if you haven't played Grow Home on PlayStation 4, check that out, because that is actually a good game. Very different, very arcadey, but I love it. And then they showed off a lot more Watch Dogs 2, and I will say that I am impressed by Watch Dogs 2. It looks fun, it looks colorful, vibrant, nice. Everything about Watch Dogs 2 is just looking great. The hacking looks great, and I will say that that is a day one buy for me already. Then they announced a new IP called Steep, a snowboarding, paragliding, parachuting, skiing game in the Alps, and you can play with friends and everything else. It kind of just takes the silliness of snowboarding and just lets you have fun. And I will say that that is a very ambitious project from Ubisoft, and I can't wait to get my hands on the beta, and I'll have links to the For Honor beta and the Steep beta in the description box below. But Ubisoft had some great times. They also had some weird pacing. We really didn't need the backstage, the on-stage talk between LeVar Burton and Aisha Tyler. The South part really did take some time, but it was wonderful from what we've seen, but it really took some time. And the Just Dance intro segment really could have been taken out as well. But overall, Ubisoft really did show their thing, so I'll be giving Ubisoft a 4 out of 5. Now on to Sony. I will say Sony came out swinging with the games that they have. They started off with a playable demo of God of War 4. Kratos is back, and they're in the Norse mythology world, and it's just looking great. It's beautiful, not too violent. It's just, it feels like they took the realism and they wanted to give it that homebound feeling of what it's supposed to be. And I will say I'm impressed by God of War 4. Not a big particular fan of the series myself, but I will say that that has my eye. Then they opened up with a new IP called Days Gone. Looks like The Last of Us meets Dead Rising, and just one particular fun, crazy game, and it does have my eye. And then they showed off Last Guardian and confirming a release date in October. Then they showed off some more Horizon Zero Dawn, which looks great every time they show it. Then they showed off some more Detroit Being Human, and I will say that this game, no matter what it is, it's a day one buy for me, because I'm a fan of Beyond Two Souls, and I will be playing Heavy Rain on my channel. But this game does look great. That game looks especially great. Has so many choices that you can choose from, so many things to go through, and I will say that that is a day one purchase for me. Then they showed off Resident Evil 7, which is a playable demo on PSN, which I'll be having on the channel soon enough. You guys can check that out when it comes about. And it looks like it's returning absolutely back to its horror roots. Then they showed a game called Farpoint, which looks cool. It's a VR game, and I will say that it has my eye as a sci-fi fanatic, but they really didn't get too in-depth about that game in particular. Then they announced some more VR games: Star Wars Battlefront VR, X-Wing Mission, Batman Arkham VR, and the Final Fantasy 15 VR experience, which looks cool. Then they had a playable demo of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It looks good. It has a lot going on the screen, but I will say that it has a lot of improvements from their old campaigns and does some things different. You have flights, you have more strategic ways to play, and it does look great. I will say that this campaign does actually looks great. Then they showed a teaser from the Modern Warfare remaster. But then here comes the big announcement from Sony. Sony absolutely just announced that Crash Bandicoot, the first 3 games of Crash Bandicoot, will be getting a remaster from the ground up, and Crash Bandicoot will be a part of Skylanders. Now that is actually a big deal. I wasn't expecting them to actually do that announcement, but it came, so I was like, hey, wow, that is actually bigger than what I thought it would be. And then You had Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. That was cool, I guess. And then another big announcement that I wasn't expecting to come was the Death Stranding announcement with Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus and Del Toro. We thought that game was just dead, never gonna come back, but Hideo Kojima decided to bring it back from under wraps and show off that they've been working on something, and I'm proud to see this. And the trailer absolutely starts off with PT references, Metal Gear references. Kojima is back doing his thing, and I am excited to see what they could possibly have as this project goes along. I am definitely excited, and that trailer had me on edge because I never got to play PT. And then Sony shows Spider-Man, an exclusive PS4 title made by Insomniac Games, who made Ratchet & Clank and Sunset Overdrive, and that looks good. And I absolutely got excited for that in Death Stranding. And I will say that the pacing for Sony shows is absolutely fantastic. They didn't have any slowdown moments. Nothing was too particularly bad. They had some great games, just game after game after game after game. And I will say that Sony brought it this E3. And I'll be giving Sony a 4.5 out of 5 for their conference. And then the last conference of the day was Nintendo's, and they only showed Pokemon Sun and Moon and Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I will say Zelda looks fantastic. The cel shaded graphics look dope, and Pokemon Sun and Moon is cool, but their conference was really bad. They had a lot of dead air time, and it just wasn't really worth the show of what you watched, because that was their only two announcements and only two things they're gonna show. No Paper Mario announcement, nothing else in between, just Zelda Breath of the Wild and Pokemon Sun and Moon. So if you guys want, I'll be putting links to all the announcements and the conferences and the link to the description box below. I thank you guys for watching, and more reviews coming to you guys soon. I have Resident Evil 7, a live stream of that will be happening tomorrow. Halo Wars 2 gameplay going up tomorrow as well. Thank you guys for watching. Outlast Episode 4 will be up as well. Tune in, turn up, and throw down, and I'm out. Thank you guys for watching.